we're getting ready here. You're listening to Andrew Reynolds on the percussion. He's going to be here today behind world famous poet Marvin X. And Andrew, welcome. So welcome. It's good to see a full house. Beautiful day out here, and we're full to talk about Haiti. It's good to see Palestine represented in the House, and we're going to have some information about Palestine as we go forward. My name is Walter Turner. Like all of you, I'm working here for the struggle. That's what we're doing here. I usually host a radio program on KPFA, which is entitled Africa Today, and hopefully have a chance to talk a bit about it. First of all, I want to thank the organizers, Haiti Action Committee. We need to get a round of applause for Haiti Action Committee. As you know, there's a difference between sprinters and long distance runners, and Haiti Action Committee is long distance runners. We're talking about 30 years plus in this battle for national liberation. That's what it is. We need to be clear about that. Battle for national liberation going back to the 19th century, in the same way that you see development in Algeria and Sudan and in Southern Africa. That's what this is. It's a struggle for national liberation, for self-determination. So Haiti Action, to thank all the principals there. I know that there's Pierre Labossiere is one of the co-founders. We have Robert Ross in the house with us today. But so many people in the community make up what Haiti Action is. I don't know where we would be without the East Side Arts Alliance. I mean, seriously, it's one thing to create a space, it's another thing to be able to keep the space and maintain the space. The work that they're doing around the Black Cultural Zone, the programs that they do for youth, the programs that they do for the Malcolm X Festival, and it's a resource that people always know is here. You know, often things come and go, and our faith kind of wanes with those, but Eastside has been here. So I don't know if there's anybody here from the Eastside team, but we definitely need to give a big round of applause to the Eastside. I think when I was preparing to say a few things about the program today, one thing that came to mind was whenever I'm thinking about Haiti, and I actually went online and took a look at something that he was talking about many years ago, was Brother Javad. I don't know how many of you people knew Javad Jahid. But he was just a staunch soldier around Haiti, around Africa, with Malcolm X grassroots. So in some senses, I want to make sure that we call Javad into the room so that he can be here to see the kind of work that we're continuing to do around Haiti. So just want to take a moment and just respect Javad and have him here present with us. We have a number of speakers today. We're going to start off with a presentation by Marvin X, and he's going to be accompanied by Andrew Reynolds. We're going to have a presentation from Dr. Rama Ali Kased, who is going to be updating us on resistance, on developments in the region of Palestine. Dr. Rama Ali Kased is an assistant professor in race and resistance studies in the College of Ethnic Studies at San Francisco State. She's a Palestinian, originally from Brooklyn, New York, a seasoned community organizer, a founder of the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, the Arab Resource Organizing Committee, and other community-based organizations that focus on racial, economic, and social justice for Arab and Palestinian community. So we're going to welcome at some point Dr. Rama Ali Kased. We're also going to have, as part of our presentation today, I do want you to know that this program is being live streamed. If you have friends who are not able to be here, they'll be able to go onto the site and take the QR code and be able to take it live stream. It will also be recorded. We will have, as part of the program, we will have Pierre Labossiere. Pierre Labossiere really needs no introduction. It's interesting when you look at Pierre. If you Google Pierre, you're always going to get Pierre Labossiere, the Haiti Action Committee. But all of us who know the work of Pierre know that whether it's about political prisoners, whether it's about Southern Africa, whether it's about environmental issues, or whether it's about social justice, whether it's about human rights, whether it's about Cuba, whether it's about Palestine, whether it's about Colombia, whether it's about Gaza, Pierre is going to be there. And so his bio is always just like, I'm always looking for more, but it's like 2 or 3 lines, Pierre Labossiere of the Haiti Action Committee. But he is so much to our community, and we appreciate you, Pierre. Glad that you're going to be talking with us today. Pierre is going to also be able to share with us the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. I know that Walter Riley is not here today. Pierre is one of the co-founders, along with a number of other people. If you look at the website of the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, they are doing the grassroots kind of work that makes a difference. Meaning when you're talking about environmental issues, when you're talking about food issues, when you're talking about health issues, Haiti Emergency Relief. So donate, and donate often. We don't mind talking like a minister now. We don't mind the kind of money that jingles, but we really do prefer the money that folds, okay? So the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, when you're putting your resources there, you're putting them in the best situation. We're also going to hear from a live stream directly from Haiti, and I wanted to emphasize that because I looked at a program which was done a while back with Robert Roth was moderating, and two of the principals of the Fanmi Lavalas Executive Committee will be joining us. If you have questions, please put your questions on a 3x5 card and we'll get those to them. I'll try to moderate that between others who will assist with the program. And the program that was done, I think, around the 30th anniversary of the Haiti Action Committee. If you have a chance, you should go back and take a look at that, because the presentation by Dr. Maryse, Narcisse, as well as the program with Pacha, Pacha Vorbe, was absolutely fantastic. And I think that is online. You can still take a look at that. Dr. Maryse Narcisse is an expert in public health and advocate for the rights of the poor. She was a Fanmi Lavalas candidate for the presidency of Haiti in 2016, I believe. She is a public health specialist and worked with UNIFA. She is on the national coordinator of the Fanmi Lavalas Executive Committee and a member of the Board of Administration of UNIFA, the University of the Aristide Foundation. If you haven't followed the work of the University of the Aristide Foundation, absolutely unbelievable. You should take a look at that. Joel Pacha Vorbe has a long history of resistance and organizing in Haiti. He is a member of the Executive Committee of Fanmi Lavalas and has worked closely with Jean-Bertrand Aristide. There is a website for the Haiti Emergency Relief, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Why don't I talk just for a moment here, not to take up too much time. Pierre and I have had a chance to talk on many occasions over the last 75, 80 years, I think. Pierre and I have had an opportunity to talk on many occasions about developments in Haiti. I think two things, I'm going to echo the words of El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, Malcolm X, because nobody says it better than Malcolm X. I was talking with Pierre the other evening and was talking about whenever you listen to the speeches of Malcolm, when Malcolm finishes, there generally was no question. nobody had any questions. You just put on your jacket and you go home, okay? Because Malcolm said it all. There was nothing to be asked. But Malcolm gives a speech in February of 1965, which is the last message. I believe it's February 14th, 1965. And Malcolm is referred to as the last message. And in that particular speech, he refers to developments in the country of the Congo. And he talks about the media, and you can use that as a template for taking a look at how the media has evolved around developments in Haiti and on the African continent and in the Middle East. The step-by-step process, Malcolm said, that was used by the press. First, they fanned the flames in such a manner to create hysteria in the minds of the public. And then they shift gears and fan the flames in a manner designed to get the sympathy of the public. And once they go from hysteria to sympathy, their next step is to get the public to support them in whatever act they're getting ready to go down with. And Malcolm says you're dealing with a cold, calculating international machine that's so criminal in its objectives and motives that it has the seeds of its own destruction right within it. This is Malcolm X. Talking in 1965, February 14, 1965, 75, 85, 95, 2000, we're talking about 50 years ago. This is Al-Haj Malik El-Shaban. When he was speaking to the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, which was another alliance that Malcolm made, that which was in the South, the work of Fanmi Lavalas. He said, and we have to think about, and I was speaking with the professor, we have to think about making those connections. I had the pleasure over the last week to speak with a gentleman from the countries from West Africa. I was speaking with him from Mali. And he was making a statement about what we call the Alliance of Sahelian countries, which are the countries of Niger, the country of Burkina Faso, and the country of Mali. And those of you who have followed developments in that particular region, what the media has been saying is there's been a number of what they refer to as military coups. Now, I don't know that it's fair to refer to them as military coups, because in some senses it says that the governments that were installed by the French and their allies, in fact, were legitimate. So the word I use is change of government, this quest for democratization, this request for a representative government. And ECOWAS, which is the Economic Community of West African States, when these coups occurred in 2021, 22, another one occurred in Guinea, and another one in Gabon, the thing that ECOWAS wanted to do was to put sanctions against all of these countries. Now, if you look at a map of West Africa, that whole region there of 13 to 14 countries is what we refer to as the Sahel. If you ever travel to West Africa, families and goods and transportation move along there like you move between San Francisco and Berkeley and Oakland and San Jose. And at the last point, last year when the coup occurred in Niger, the ECOWAS community was threatening more sanctions against Niger. At some point, the countries, you might remember Burkina Faso, of course, from Thomas Sankara in 1983, 1987. At some point, the countries of the Sahelian region formed this alliance of Sahelian states. And what they demanded, in some senses, are the same type of things that people were talking about in Haiti. They demanded that the French leave. If the French had to get out of West Africa, if the French had been there way too long, meaning somewhere since the period of the early 19th century, if you look at their history in countries like Algeria, all that territory that you see, that was referred to as French West Africa. The next thing that they demanded was that the United Nations leave. And of course, this is the same demand that the people of Haiti had. So when you look at the African continent, when you look at what's happened very recently in the country of Sudan, which has the most displaced people of any country in the world, about 6 million people. When you look at the number of people from Sudan who find themselves in other countries in that particular region, When you look at that piece there, right, where the Central African Republic is, and where Libya is, and Darfur, and where Sudan, and where the Republic of South Sudan is, that place has been, that region has been affected very much by the developments that are happening in Gaza and happening in the Middle East. And in the same way of Haiti, those countries that you see in West Africa, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, their major export is gold. When you look at the country of Sudan, the major export is gold. And there's so many outside actors that have their hands in those particular countries. Sometimes it's the country of Turkey, sometimes it's Saudi Arabia, sometimes it's the Gulf state, and you see the same type of thing in Libya. So there is some synergy between what's happening in Haiti and what's happening in these movements of national liberation around the African continent. To finish on this particular piece, now I always say this to people when we're talking about Haiti, because many of us work with solidarity groups around Cuba, around Puerto Rico, around Colombia, around Venezuela, whatever. I'm always telling people, if you're moving through the Caribbean one way or another, you have to pass Haiti. If you're talking about Colombia, you have to pass Haiti. If you're talking about Puerto Rico, if you're talking about Cuba, you have to pass Haiti. So we need to make those connections because it certainly is a moment of urgency in terms of these struggles for national liberation. Finally, to end the point here, Malcolm El-Shabazz, when he's talking about the connections, he says, you can't understand what's going on in Haiti if you don't understand what's going on in the Congo. And you can't really be interested in what's going on in Haiti if you're not also interested in what's going on in the Congo. They're both the same. The same interests are at stake. The same sides are drawn up. The same schemes are at work in the Congo, they're at work in Haiti. The same stake, no difference whatsoever. So we need to continue to make those particular connections. And you can make those connections. I'm sure someone will speak today about this hope that somehow that Kenya would play a role in the developments of Haiti. And Malcolm, again, was very, very clear. He said that you have to distinguish between the puppet and the puppeteers, okay? So when we're talking about Kenya, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the puppet. We're talking about the puppeteer. And we need to make sure that we focus on the puppeteer and the disaster that they're bringing to the people of Palestine, the disaster that's being brought to the people of Sudan, the disaster that's brought to the people of Libya. So in making the connections, and I wanted to say a few words about Africa before we moved on with the program. So thank you for giving me that space to be able to say those particular points. So I had an opportunity to talk, every time I talk with Emory Douglas, I don't know if Emory Douglas is here today. Where is Emory Douglas? Emory Douglas. Every time I talk with Emory Douglas, you know, we're blessed to have Emory Douglas now. We're blessed to have everybody now. Emory Douglas talks about the beginning of his consciousness and his involvement around art and around graphic. And there's one person he always mentions, and that's Marvin X. Marvin X went to Oakland's Merritt High School. He became friends with Bobby Seale. Merritt College. He became friends with Bobby Seale and Huey Newton. Thank you, Marvin. I appreciate that. Okay. He established the Black Arts West Theater in the Fillmore, along with Ed Bullen, and he also founded the Black House. He's got more than 30 books of publishing published. He lectures at colleges and universities around the country and around the world. He truly is a Bay Area treasure. He surely is a national treasure and a global treasure. So why don't we welcome Marvin X with the accompaniment of Reynolds.
Assalamu alaikum. I have to begin with an apology to the Haiti Action Committee, Brother Pierre, Brother Walter Riley, and others for my performance a few years ago. We were at Jack London Square, Aaron and Jones, and I was drunk. So I want to apologize because it was captured on video. So I got to see it the next day, and I was totally embarrassed. And I usually don't get drunk before the show. Usually I get drunk after. So please accept my apology, Haiti Action Committee. Did somebody say they were there? Yes. Haiti. Oh, Haiti. Valiant, rich, African history, mighty in battle, in religion supreme. Haiti. Oh, Haiti. Defeated Spanish, French, English. Your only sin, never forgiven by the devils lingering on your island in the sun. There are those who say evil shall prevail, and there are those who shall wail in hell. Evil shall eat crow. This the devils shall know. Haiti, oh Haiti, arise and unite as you did against the Spanish, French, English. Come forth, Toussaint, Dessalines, Boukman. Come in the name of Bouddha. Check devils at crossroads where Legba stands, Haiti. Oh, Haiti. Where's your president who loved the poor, flown into exile by enemies across the shore? Haiti, oh Haiti. Your graveyards are not junkyards, but fields of life, love, and hope. Honor your dead. Remember your history. You devoured the Spanish, French, English. Haiti, oh Haiti. Let the earth consume the evil ones, though the innocent must suffer, till the valiant children take control. In the name of ancestors, the living and yet unborn. I'm going to end with a poem on a similar subject of the hour, Palestine. I am not an Arab. I am not a Jew. Abraham is not my father. Palestine is not my home. But I would fight any man who kicked me out of my house to dwell in a tent. I would fight to the ends of the earth someone who said to me, I want your house because my father lived here 2,000 years ago. I want your land because my father lived here 2,000 years ago. Jets would not stop me from returning to my land. Uncle Toms would not stop me. Cluster bombs I would defy. No man can take the house of another and expect to live in peace. There is no peace for thieves. There is no peace for those who murder for myths and ancient rituals, Wail at the wall, settle in Judea and Samaria, but fate awaits you. You will never sleep with peace. You will never walk without listening. I shall cross the river Jordan with justice in my hand. I shall return to Jerusalem and establish my house of peace. Thus said the Lord. Thank you. Marvin.
Dr. Rama Ali Kased.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that introduction and thank you for the beautiful poetry. My name is Rama Ali Kased. I am an assistant professor of race and resistance studies in the College of Ethnic Studies at San Francisco State. But originally I was born and raised in Brooklyn. And being here, I'm very honored. Growing up in Brooklyn, I grew up in a very predominantly Caribbean community in East New York, shout out. My early memories of coming into political consciousness outside of my understanding of Palestine came through Haiti, came through the resilient, beautiful friends of Haiti who taught me a lot about what settler colonialism is, or what it looks like, and what dehumanization looks like, but also how to resist. And the two revolutions that taught me and guided me in my understanding of liberation was both the Haitian Revolution and the Algerian Revolution. So for me to be here today, I am honored, I feel home, I feel blessed to be able to show my solidarity with the people of Haiti, but most importantly, to be in a space to co-conspire together of what liberation looks like, feels like, and ways we should move to get there. Speaking to you as a Palestinian, and speaking to you as a person who has years of community organizing, I always start from the perspective of time, place, and conditions, right? Where we are. And we are in the belly of the beast, right? We are in the home of the place that continues to create the unrest, the genocide, the murder, the stealing of our land and our resources. And we need to come together and continue asking the important questions and experimenting together what that means to co-conspire together for liberation. Right? Because none of us are free until we are all free, right? So I urge us to continue talking to each other. I urge us to continue building together. I urge us to continue thinking together of what it means for us to co-conspire, right? For liberation. So I want to start off by saying that. As an activist or a scholar activist, I come to you from a perspective of understanding that the genocide in Gaza and the genocide in Palestine is, didn't start from October 7th, right? We know that the fight for the liberation of Palestine is over 100 years old, right? But we also understand that the framework that created the hundreds of years of enslavement in Haiti is the same framework that's being used to continue the oppression, the occupation, and the land left of Palestine. So we understand those histories, right? As a scholar activist, I can tell you, and those of us, a lot of us know this is textbook, y'all. It's textbook, right? You dehumanize the population, you murder the population, you make them suffer to a point of submission, right? To kill their resistance, right? To kill their popular collective resistance, right, against imperialism and occupation and land theft. We understand that, right? We know that the situation in Gaza today is unique because it's today, right? But we also know that we are on the legacy of the hundreds of years of occupation and settler colonialism in different parts of the world. And most importantly, we are on the shoulders and in the legacy of people who resisted that, right? And learning about that, right? And what resistance looks like, what the ending of settler colonialism looks like, right? And then I'm thinking, coming to you as an organizer in the US, as a community activist in the US, right? I think it's important for us to capture this unique moment, because I do believe every moment of social unrest, every moment of learning is a unique moment, right, of its time. And I want us to think about the ways in which this moment, right, helps us understand the highest form of racial capitalism, imperialism, right? And how we unpack that and how we understand that, right? I have a lot of conversations with my own students, my own mentors, my colleagues around, how do we utilize this moment to move forward, right? And I'm always reminded, right, that the Occupy movement, even with its limitations, right, taught us what class meant, right? Taught us that capitalism is man-made, A, white man-made, A. Two, that it is not a healthy way to function, right? And that it is changeable, right? This is all changeable. And we took that moment and we learned from that moment, right? And we built off of that moment. Then comes along the resilient movement of the Black Lives Matter, right? And in the US, that taught us about anti-Blackness. That taught us about racism. That taught us about mass incarceration. That taught us about police funding, right, in the carceral state, right? And we took that moment and we learned from that moment and we experimented from that moment, right? Today we're in a moment where we're learning about imperialism, right? And we will be losing if we don't make those connections together, right? If we don't continue building those connections together, understanding how all of these are interlinked, understanding how, again, imperialism is the highest form of racial capitalism, right? And a much needed form to continue feeding into racial capitalism, specifically those are in Western powers, right? So using these moments to continue building together, right? I can tell you, as a Palestinian, who again came about through growing up in a Palestinian activist household, growing up in Brooklyn, learning from my Caribbean siblings, right? That the legacy of resistance is on us too, right? We understand the Haitian movement, the Haitian resistance, as part and parcel of our own freedom and liberation, right? That it goes hand in hand. That's right. And I just want to point out one thing, and then I'll wrap up. When the earthquake in Haiti happened, the Palestinian prisoners in Israeli prisons, actually, who were facing their own torture, their own experiencing their own oppression, right? Actually fundraised and did work around the Haiti earthquake, right? Again, making those connections, right? And I want us to again, continue making those connections, understanding that what's happening in the Congo, understanding what's happening in Haiti and Palestine, right? In the Philippines, right? That these are all connected and these are all interlinked. And although our organizing in our different communities doesn't look the same, and it shouldn't, right? Our people's material conditions, the way capitalism and oppression and racism impacts us, looks different for our communities. So our organizing isn't always the same, and that's okay, it shouldn't be, right? We need to meet our people where they are, right? But that when we understand that our enemy is one, right? That our struggle is one, right? Our organizing becomes more intentional, right? Our understanding of why our liberation is all interconnected is more intentional and understandable. So thank you all for your time. Again, I'm really honored to be here. I do want to say shout out to Eastside Arts Alliance. When I first moved to the West Coast, the first event that I came to was in the Eastside Arts Alliance, and it was actually, I did a panel with Brother Javad Jahi, so I'm so happy that you brought up his name. He's very much missed at this moment. There's anything, what I could do to call him right now and have this conversation with him. So thank you all for having me. Free Palestine, free Haiti, free the land, free the people. Thank you.
Pierre Labossiere, Haiti Action Committee. And if you have questions, put them on 3x5 cards and we'll make sure we get to them. Pierre. Hey, wait a minute, hold on. Stand up for Pierre.
Thank you very much, Walter, my dear brother. Thank you, everyone who spoke. Marvin X, thank you, Andrew Reynolds. A fantastic drumming. Thank you so much, Dr. Rama. I used to live in Brooklyn, so I know what you mean. And I was in solidarity as well with the people of Palestine going way back, 1970s, early 70s, when I started, becoming more aware and active. So it's an ongoing relationship. So thank you for your presence. Thank you to each and every one here. Being here today means so much, not only to us from Haiti Action Committee, to the people of Haiti. Many are aware, many are watching what's going on, our presence here today. And it's really a great show of solidarity, a great demonstration of love and people power and solidarity across the lands. So thank you all for being here. It was 34 years ago, just about, that the Haiti Action Committee was founded. And we were founded by a group of us coming together from the labor movement, the faith community, from various organizations, the women's movement, the movement for political prisoners, Black Power movements, various organizations. And we came together, and there was a delegation from Haiti. One was a priest from the Liberation Theology movement, L'Église, very militant organization that believe in the power of the faith and people acting to change the realities of their daily lives. And also we had a woman who was a labor organizer, represented the labor unions in Haiti. And so when they were leaving, we asked them, after they made various presentations, we said, what do you need of us? Well, how can we help? They said, well, keep spreading the message of what's going on in Haiti to the outside world, organizing the Bay Area in solidarity with us. We need your political support, your political organizing. We need that very much. And since then, that's when Haiti Action, at that time we didn't have that name, but later on, today, I believe in 2000, we took the name Haiti Action Committee, and that's how we were founded. The reason I bring it up is we were founded with a mission, and that mission has since been re-emphasized, reinforced by various delegations from Haiti who have visited us and when we have visited them. And they have told us, the work is not over. Our liberation struggle is not over. We are fighting to complete the Haitian revolution. We need your support in order to complete what our foremothers and our forefathers had started, which was a dream, an objective, a plan to have a nation, to free themselves from imperialism, to free themselves from colonialism, to build a nation of men and women living in dignity with their children. And so, this is not over yet. It's far from being over. Even though we've made strides, we were on our way. With the Lavalas movement, the People's Party, Fanmi Lavalas political organization, which represents the people of Haiti, we're on our way. But then various coups d'etats by the US, France, Canada, and these others, what they call the core group. Haiti is under occupation right now. It's been under occupation since the coup d'etat of 2004, which, by the way, we are commemorating the 20th anniversary of this coup d'etat that has brought nothing but destruction against our people. And so our people have never stopped resisting, they've never stopped fighting. What you are seeing today in Haiti is a reign of terror organized by the core group countries. Let me tell you which ones they are. It's France, Canada, the US, Brazil, Germany, Spain, the representative of the European Union, the representative of the Organization of American States, and the representative of the UN. They make up the group, and the Haitian people, very, very smart, very intelligent. They call them the core gang. Because when we are talking about the gangs of Haiti, they stand as the number one. And I'm not saying this lightly, I mean it, because they themselves had worked with the president at the time who was assassinated, Jovenel Moïse, who they put in power illegally. They put him in power, and they had worked with him to federate the so-called gangs, right? Gangs of criminals, people who are kidnapping, setting fire to houses, burning people alive, taking over people, destroying neighborhoods and all of that. Now we see that in the press. So they actually took credit for federating those gangs, particularly the woman, the diplomat, Hélène Lalim, who was the UN representative. And they received their non-profit status from the government of Jovenel Moïse at the time. So when they are talking about gangs in the media, it's a way to confuse people. Because locally here we think of gangs, and I keep repeating that, but it's important that I repeat it, because the media is always trying to throw a bunch of confusion in there, but we have to understand these are not gangs like a group of people who would be coming together and then scheme about how they can rob this house or rob this store, what have you. Then when the police comes, they scatter. That's what we call gangs here. But these folks in Haiti doing that, they are more like the Contras of Nicaragua. Right. They were organized by the Haitian government with the core group, which is why people call them the core gang, and they have unleashed a reign of terror on Haiti that started, I would say, from 2017, if not earlier, but it's been going on. But let's take the present moment, 2017, 2018, with the La Saline massacre, and they have been increasingly continuing. I don't want to go on too long, and the time is a little bit short, but I want to emphasize that your support, your solidarity, it's important that we break through those lies, because unless we understand the nature of what we are dealing with, we're not going to get it. And what's their purpose? Their purpose is not just to create, to do all this mayhem for no reason. They are trying to drive out people from the communities where they live. They are trying to break down the resistance, as Dr. Rama pointed out, to destroy the capacity of people to resist imperialism and colonialism. And also because Haiti has a number of natural resources. We are talking gold, copper, bauxite, oil, uranium, iridium, and other things. One Haitian remarked that most of the places where those gangs are active, like in the Artibonite, very fertile valley, agricultural land, prime agricultural land, this is where they want to drive out the people so they can take over the resources, both underground and underground. So this is what our people are rebelling against and are resisting. So that's what's going on. So I'm going to stop right now because I was given the signal. I want to mention also that we are doing a little bit of a fundraising, not a little bit, let me say it, we need funds. The movement needs funds, freedom and free. We have over close to 400,000 people who've been displaced in Haiti. We have a number of schools that have been destroyed by those so-called gangs, and people who are resisting this oppression. So we need funds to support the work that people are doing. Amidst all this chaos, people are still building schools, building clinics, building hospitals, and we help them as much as we can. So, Haiti Emergency Relief Fund, Dr. Walter Turner spoke about that earlier, And thank you so much, Walter, for this powerful presentation. And you can go to the website of HaitiEmergencyRelief.org, and also you can donate right now. There is a basket going around. There is also a handout that has a QR code for those who can handle that stuff. So you can do the QR code and it will take you to the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund website. For people who are online, HaitiEmergencyRelief.org. And please donate as much as you can and spread the word. Lastly, I want to say a big thank you to the executive committee members of Fanmi Lavalas political organization. Walter beautifully introduced them, but I want to say a heartfelt thank you, heartfelt welcome from us, from the Bay Area, to Dr. Maryse Narcisse, who's the coordinator of Fanmi Lavalas political organization, and also to Joel Vorbe, Joel Pacha Vorbe. Pacha is his nickname. Beautiful people, great leaders of the movement. They represent the future of Haiti, and I can't thank them enough. Personally, and on behalf of all of us who are here, we thank them for their leadership, we thank them for their courage, we thank them for doing the work that they've been doing so consistently amidst all the chaos and all the dangers in Haiti. To our sisters and brothers in Haiti, pour tout frère sœur, je voulais dire nous merci en pile pour courage nous sentis toute douleur, nous tout ça n'a subi, nous sentis tout ça y a fait passer, en pile dans nous cap dormi dans la pluie, en pile dans nous cap dormi, nous pas gain caille encore, ça te business sur pour les business, nous voulons tout amour, nous toute solidarité pour nous. Et un jour ça a changé, un jour qui pas trop loin. Donc ensemble, nous avons privé. Ensemble, nous c'est Lavalas. Let me translate that to my sisters and brothers in Haiti who have been made homeless, whose small businesses and homes have been actually destroyed. Over 400,000 are on the streets. They have lost everything. I tell them we send our love. We, all of us, we send them our love. We send them our solidarity. We send them our strong feelings of determination so that they can hang strong until we are free, we get ourselves free from what we are in. And to the people of Palestine, Dr. Rama, my heart goes out to you and to our sisters and brothers in Palestine. Thank you so very much. We wish them courage and strength, and they too shall be victorious. Free Palestine and free Haiti.
As we move into the live stream, I do want to let you know that coming up this Monday at 11:30 a.m. at the San Francisco German Consulate, which is at 1960 Jackson Street, there's going to be a protest about Germany's unending support for Israel and stopping the arms to Israel. And another time we'll talk about the 80,000 people that the German government killed in Namibia when we get that time.
Yeah. Narcisse of the Fanmi Lavalas Executive Committee are honored to be part of today's event. We are here to discuss the crisis that now engulfs Haiti 20 years after the coup d'etat that overthrew the democratically elected administration of President Gilbert Aristide, and to commemorate the continued resistance of Haiti grassroots movement. Thank you to Haiti Action Committee for organizing this meeting and for continuing to be in solidarity with Haiti, fighting for freedom, justice, dignity, and democracy. Thank you, Walter Turner, for moderating this conversation on Haiti. Thank you to the East Side Art Alliance for hosting, and thank you to Justice Vanguard for technical assistance in broadcasting this event. We also thank all media that are providing coverage of this event. I want to thank everyone in the Bay Area who has been in continued support of Haiti. Special thanks to the other participants in today's event, Dr. Rama Ali Kased, Marvin X, and Andrew Reynolds for their solidarity with the Haitian people. This is the kind of international support and collaboration that the world needs. Fanmi Lavalas stands with the people of Palestine and condemns in the strongest way possible the genocide that is being waged against Palestinians. Antoine Ismaili, one of the earliest supporters of the Lavalas movement, was a man of Palestinian descent who stood firmly with the people of Haiti in the struggle for human dignity. He was a brave man, ultimately killed by forces that have always opposed progressive change in Haiti. Pacha?
Thank you to all. To continue on the introduction of Maryse, it's important to know who we are, Fanmi Lavalas. I think it would be helpful to start today's discussion with an overview of Fanmi Lavalas. Fanmi Lavalas is a grassroots political organization. Our mission is to work with the poorest, marginalized people and a shared struggle for a better life, dignity, justice, and freedom. The struggle is for real and deep changes in Haitian society. Access to education, health, food, housing, and economic opportunities for all. Fanmi Lavalas is trusted for several reasons. Its commitment and orientation towards a real deep change and the standards of living of the poorest and the excluded, who constitute the overwhelming majority of the population. Its systematic refusal to subordinate the interests of the majority to those of individual groups. The formal inclusion of dignity and sovereignty of the nation and our political objectives. The loyalty of Fanmi Lavalas that is recognized by the masses and the implacable coherence between political speech and political choices or actions. The national representative of Fanmi Lavalas, Dr. Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who throughout a lifetime of service, leadership, and education, has never abandoned his commitment to the poorest. Today, President Aristide's vision is still the same. Education, education, education. Education is the stepping stone towards our goals. Education without exclusion. Education aimed at excellence. One of the most effective strategies in combating the crisis in Haiti is investing in education. To you, Maryse.
To understand the crisis in Haiti, we must refer to our history, the hierarchies and prejudices embedded in our societal fabric, and Haiti's geopolitical and global context. Haiti is the first independent Black republic. We achieved our independence at the beginning of the 19th century through an unprecedented revolution. It was an uprising by an enslaved African population. Because Haiti was surrounded by countries and colonies powered by slave economies, our independence was not recognized for many years. Our country faced political isolation and economic blockades. In 1825, under the threat of war and re-enslavement, France forced Haiti to pay a crippling indemnity in exchange for formal recognition of the new republic. This debt set Haiti on a course of extreme poverty and political instability. According to estimates from the New York Times, 1 year investigation in 2022, payments to France have cost Haiti economic development between 21 and 150 billion in losses over 2 centuries. Understanding the crisis in Haiti today means understanding that for more than 200 years, Haiti has been facing the design of a coalition of Western powers to put the country under some kind of guardianship. Indeed, Haiti has gone through more than 2 centuries of exploitation and extensive international interference in its internal affairs under various different levels: occupation, foreign intervention, coup d'etat, support of rigged election and dictatorial rule, lackey government in the service of foreign powers. Regardless of the level, the aim has always been to control the state and to make sure that there would always be alignment with Western interests. Understanding the crisis in Haiti means fully appreciating the social contradiction to emerge on the one after the country's independence in 1804. That is the social vision for all held by the father of the nation, Jacques Dessalines, versus the class interests of the retrograde forces of the country, a conflict which ultimately led to Dessalines' assassination. Ever since this shattering of Dessalines' humanist dream, the Haitian oligarchs and leaders have transformed the Haitian state into an instrument at their service, a system of pillage, corruption, and impunity which was established without any concern for the development of the national economy and the development of the population persists today. Understanding the crisis in Haiti means also understanding that Haiti did not choose to be poor. Haiti still suffers today in various ways the effect of a modern form of neocolonialism harmful to its emancipation and its sustainable economic development. Pacha?
The 2004 coup, 20 years later. In 2004, when Haiti celebrated the 200-year anniversary of its independence, with pride and dignity, the Western powers, assisted by their local allies, once again made the Haitian people pay for their arrogance, of their ancestors for having broken the chains of slavery. Moreover, the Aristide government in place at that time had been democratically elected by an overwhelming majority. It was not a client state of the West. The policies pursued by the government, increase in minimum wage, greater access to education and healthcare, prioritize the overwhelming majority of Haitian people, not Western interests. And finally, it was the Haiti government alone willing to demand restitution from France for the indemnity Haiti was forced to pay in 1825. The 2004 coup d'etat was another manifestation of Western powers, designed to regain control of Haiti. On the very night of the coup d'etat of February 29, 2004, the United Nations Security Council authorized the immediate deployment of a multinational force in Haiti. The 2004 coup represents the desire and self-determination of peoples to decide for themselves. The forced departure of President Aristide was unconstitutional and against internationally recognized rules of law. Under Haiti's Lavalas government, important achievements were made to address the basic needs of the population in many areas, such as healthcare, education, women's rights, housing, economic justice, to quote only those. Healthcare, a greater percentage of the national budget was allocated to healthcare than had any previous government in Haitian history. Education, literacy, for the first time in its history, Haiti began implementing a universal preschooling program. 20% of the national budget was dedicated to education. Lavalas built 195 new primary schools and 104 new public high schools and began the first school bus program. 70% of the government subsidies were granted for school books and uniforms, and 700,000 hot meals were served every day through school lunch programs. 20 years after the coup, what has changed? These gains were wiped out by the 2004 coup. The coup has largely contributed to the situation we are experiencing today, and the living condition of the population has only gotten worse. Successive elections were rigged with irregularities and outright election fixing by the foreign powers. And the 20 years following the 2004 coup, Haiti endured foreign occupation, state-sanctioned repression, and terror. And a wave of neoliberal economic policies that have created the dysterious situation we are now living in Haiti. But this coup did not stop the daily struggles of the Haitian people against economic inequalities and social policies imposed by a local and international exploiting class. Indeed, the armed militias and gangs that have grown in force and numbers in the past several years emerged precisely to stop the massive demonstration protesting government policies. Fraudulent election, rising price of food and fuel, and demanding accountability for the stolen Petro-Caribbean funds. Maryse.
Like Pacha started to say, a Haitian crisis is catastrophic, multidimensional, and aggravated by institutional vacuum. We have a broken political system. Since the fraudulent election of 2016, no election have taken place in Haiti at any level of governance. As a result, our elected positions have not been renewed, leading to the lapse of parliament. No Senate or House of Deputies seat are filled. The Supreme Court is not functional. The presidency and the Prime Minister's position are vacant. Not one elected mayor in Haiti, 146 counties. No elected position. In addition to the country's political instabilities, we are facing the worst insecurity crisis in decades, making the daily life of a Haitian filled with stress and fear. We can say that there is a deterioration of the security situation with violence resulting in, according to the report of the UN in January 2024, saw almost 5,000 reported murders to December 2023. 2,500 cases of kidnapping, violence, especially sexual violence, a practice used by our militia and gangs to control population, has increased. All this, those numbers were underestimated due to community stigma and threat of reprisal. Death of civilians caught in the crossfire of gang fighting between themselves for territory or with the police were also reported. A widespread and brutal violence by militia and gang in Haiti. Attack and violence by heavily armed gangs across the country have escalated, supported by an unprecedented flow of weapons, ammunition flowing into the country, mainly from the US. The guns have been involved in spreading terror, murders, kidnapping, burning houses, rape of women and young girls in impoverished neighborhoods, and as a consequence, people have been forced to flee their homes to escape violence. Death of civilians, a heavily armed militia, and gang have also been involved in massacre, looting and destroying business, banks, and school mostly in a poor neighborhood, attack on the port and looting of shipping containers, looting and burglary of stores and banks, vandalism and closure of health centers, including the best equipped hospital in the country, and fires in several police stations. All these crimes have been carried out with impunity. Gangs are now controlling the metropolitan area of Port-au-Prince and continue to proliferate into other urban centers. They get easily young recruits because of few economic opportunities. Gangs in Haiti are reported to have strong connection to political and economic elite and maintain time in the police and the criminal justice system, which explain their impunity. This is anarchy in Haiti. In addition, mass prison breaks, which set 4,000 inmates free in Port-au-Prince and Guadeloupe, and riot at other prisons has caused injuries and death. Police force is understaffed and with a lack of training has not been able to restore security in response to the escalating violence by outbreak. The suspension of all flights at the country main airport following shooting at airplane. There are also the post-closing of all schools and universities now more extending into the 8th week. The government decision to declare a state of emergency to follow the territory. Also an humanitarian crisis, Pacha.
This humanitarian crisis is characterized by forced repatriations. From July 2023 to January 2024, 118,228 Haitians were repatriated from the Dominican authorities. 406 Haitians from the United States, 596 from the Bahamas, and 1,649 from the Turks and Caicos Islands. Internally displaced persons, as of 31st of December 2023, 146,584 people are internally displaced. These numbers were given by the BNU, which represent the United Nations and Haiti. Due to gang violence, all those displaced. It is estimated that 30,000 additional people have been internally displaced between January and March 2024. More than 30 refugee camps have been identified in the metropolitan area of Port-au-Prince, where people live in infrahuman conditions. The massive migration of Haitians to the United States, Canada, Latin America, and Caribbean countries. 126,000 Haitians migrated to the U.S. between January and December 2023. Customs and Border Protection report as of 31st January 2024. The food insecurity from August 2023 to February 2024, 44% of the analyzed population is experiencing high level of acute food insecurity, of which 14% or nearly 1.4 million people are classified as PC phase 4 emergency, and 30%, about 2.95 million people as phase 3 crisis. 44% of the population in need of urgent action. PC analysis of food insecurity of Haiti. Haiti hunger crisis is unseen as headlines focusing of gang violence hide the 4.3 million of people facing extreme anger. Gang violence and restriction of movements have limited the humanitarian response. Massive corruption is widespread at all levels of the society. Government, business sectors, Haiti's police and justice system, etc., given existing impunity. And to deal with all has been said, a weak judicial system which cannot ensure accountability for any criminal. The economic situation is catastrophic. Poverty has reached inhumane limits. Hunger is rampant throughout the country. Some estimates put Haiti's unemployment rate as high as 70%. Cost of living has skyrocketed due to political instability. Gang-restricted access to and from Port-au-Prince to the rest of the country, vertiginous acceleration in the price of basic necessities. The inflation rate is 29% as of July 2023. In addition, the reduction of transfers to families also had a significant negative impact because of distrust. And the authorities keeping the $1.50 on each transfer. Haiti remains one of the poorest economies in the world and one of the most vulnerable to climate change, where more than half of the population lives below the poverty line and suffers from chronic food insecurity. In addition, Haiti is also vulnerable to devastating natural disasters. This global situation, political instability, insecurity, economic catastrophe, has impacted agricultural harvest, food availability, making food prices too high for the most vulnerable households. Searching for strategies to address Haiti's global crisis, Maryse, I ask you to please.
Yes, in searching for strategies to address Haiti global crisis, a back and care Asian dialogue is key. There is no entity in Haiti that has any real legitimacy. So there is a basis for all of them to humble themselves and work together on your urgent matters. In total agreement with the demand of the people, Fanmi Lavalas made the decision to have discussion with all sectors because we believe that it is through an exchange of ideas with all the political organizations and those within civil society that we will find a common agreement on how to address the problem of Haiti. Just like the broader population, Fanmi Lavalas believes that the real solution to the crisis can only come through changing the system, meaning real deep changes in the society, meaning a complete break with the old system which bring only poverty, hunger, corruption, and gangsterism. And another key element is to address the insecurity, which must be at the top of the agenda. It is everyday insecurity that most Haitians see as their top concern. Haiti, the effective and lasting solution that we must find to the country's security problem is not going to come only from yet another multinational force. Our recent history is full of this costly initiative, and today we are painfully suffering the consequences of their failures. The solution is first and foremost Haitian and involves multiple interventions targeting various dimensions of this crisis, such as strengthening the capacity of Haitian security forces, reinforcing the justice system. The National Security Council, led by the Transitional Council and the PM, will be created and responsible for developing a national security plan, ensuring its application in consultation with public, civic, and security stakeholders, as well as with international experts. It will have to develop modalities of cooperation relating to international security assistance. To achieve social peace, we will need support from public opinion and with the active participation of the population, political parties and groups, human rights defense organizations, and civil society organizations. Pacha?
A transitional government was proposed since 2018 by Fanmi Lavalas. The position of Fanmi Lavalas has always been very clear, and this since November 2018, when we made public our document on the search for consensus for a Haitian-led solution to this multidimensional crisis that is suffocating our country. This document titled Crisis and Solution reflects the demands of the national majority and its aspiration for reclaiming our sovereignty and dignity. And this document will propose a disruptive transition aimed at reconciling the people with the state, with a government of public safety, implementing a consensual roadmap bringing together the priorities of action which will make it possible to lay the foundations of a new form of state by specifying the contours of the new republic, which must be fair, united, and participatory. We absolutely need a functional consensus for a new transition with a view to reorienting the governance of the country. This consensus should be able to be structured around certain key points. First, a presidential college and a prime minister chosen by consensus between stakeholders according to preferred criteria. Second, a government of public safety integrating ministers chosen on all the basis of criteria of competence, credibility, honesty, and committed to change. Third, a body for monitoring government action, including representatives of all the vital forces of the nation, including the diaspora. Fourth, a consensual roadmap bringing together the action priorities and reforms to be undertaken by this government of public safety in various areas such as security, emergency measures to improve the living condition of the population, economy, national conference, justice, constitution, electoral council, electoral law and electoral infrastructure, free, inclusive, and credible election, a stable transitional government that works to provide needed services to the people, improves living conditions, facilitates the return home of the daughters and sons of Haiti, and regain our dignity. As a sovereign people, this new political leadership has no choice but to act transparently and within the law. Without a stable transitional government issued of a political agreement, it is unlikely that attempts to fight the source of violence and insecurity, to end impunity, to reinforce the rule of law will succeed. Things need to change. It is at this crossroad that we have arrived and history is looking at us. Maryse, I will ask you to please conclude.
Yes. And finally, after showing the consequences of the 2004 coup, after describing the crisis in Haiti, after presenting some avenue, some strategy to address Haiti crisis, the time has come to conclude. Haitian people continue their steadfast fight for democratic governance and true self-determination. Today, despite the insecurity, despite the gang threatening people in the full neighborhood, the struggle continues. This war has not weakened the determination of the population and will not succeed in making them accept the unacceptable. To succeed in the struggle for the development of our country, we must question the model and habit inherited from the colonial system. This mental decolonization involves several aspects. It includes the decolonization of political structures, legal and administrative systems, mental attitude, and lifestyle. This must be done through education, and the need to invest in people. The choice to invest in people implies respect for human rights, the modernization of our institutions, and democratic governance. I invite you, who have always accompanied us on this journey, to continue to stay engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Pacha, and thank you, Dr. Narcisse. Before, I think people are passing around sheets of paper. If you have questions.
The mic on the stage is muted.
The stage is muted. We don't hear you.
You can't hear. Let's see if this mic is over here.
Now it's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Now it's okay.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So before there are pieces of paper traveling around. If you have a question, we have a short time here. We'll be more than glad to take those questions and pass them on to Dr. Narcisse or to Pacha. I do want to thank Vanguard Audio, Justice Vanguard Audio, and thank Berkeley Community Media, which is also a live streaming. One comment, I think we're all clear from hearing Dr. Kased, as well as listening to our guests here today, and to know that we are in a war here, and that it's important to recognize that they come and speak to us in a situation of crisis, and that their lives and their communities and the people they work with are at stake. So I say that to encourage people to go to the Haiti Emergency Relief Fund. I say that to encourage people to be vigilant about the work around Haiti. It's very, very serious. And young people around the world, as you can see around Palestine, they're in the streets. They don't plan to leave the streets. So those of us who are not young and in the streets all the time, we need to respond to that. We need to make sure that when we talk to them, that they say, well, what were the activists doing? What were the elders doing in your community? That we stood up. That's very, very important. If you have a question, pass the question up here and I'll get to it. Two questions for Dr. Narcisse and for Pacha. The first one, is it safer the further away from Port-au-Prince you live? And that's tied to, are people in the rural areas in the north able to grow food at all? That's one question. The second question is, please connect the intersections between Haiti and the genocide in Palestine, supported financially by the United States. Those are the two questions.
It would get safer the further out people get away from Port-au-Prince and security. And connected to that was people able to grow food within the Port-au-Prince area where you kind of food security with
Like we said, there is restriction of movement in the metropolitan area. So goods from the remote area cannot come to Port-au-Prince. Goods from Port-au-Prince don't go to other areas, other countries. People continue to grow food. I think even in Port-au-Prince, but the situation is getting worse every day because the prices are skyrocketing, like Pacha said. It's not an easy situation. People are starving in a poor neighborhood, not only because they can go out of the neighborhood, those that have been displaced internally are living in camp. This is makeshift camp. Sometimes it's very difficult to have access to this camp. Pacha, do you want to add something?
If I was to add to that, is that all the national roads are controlled by those gangs also, and women or children are afraid to go through those roads because they have what they call toll stops, and at those toll stops, many women have been victims of many rapes, like we described in the presentation, and the young children also have been kidnapped. So it's a very unique situation that we're living in Haiti, where Haitian gangs are terrorizing their own brothers and sisters. And it's unfortunate to say that even though the farmers, they would have the possibility to grow seeds, but they cannot go out of their area with it. So we do have that hunger that is rising up more and more as time goes by.
And then there was another question, and hopefully the mic can be fixed up front, but the other question was if either of you or both of you could talk about the connections between what the Haitian people are struggling against and the ongoing genocide in Gaza.
I think the situation is what they have in common. This is a situation of suffering for the population. People are being killed. This is like to kill the resistance of the people. This is what both situations have in common. Killing the resistance of the people, making them suffering, making them unable to do something. Pacha, you want to say?
Yes, and you have a slow genocide going on in Haiti, as you have a very fast one in Gaza. But in reality today, Port-au-Prince area is like Gaza. The airport is closed, there is no access to airport, and the port facilities also, all the international vessels that were coming down to Haiti have canceled their coming down to Haiti. Port-au-Prince is isolated completely, and we are slowly being strangled. So you have that slow genocide, let them kill themselves, let them die slowly by slowly. So we have a very similar situation where it's about the dignity of the people, and it's about the future of those people also. And both of these countries also have a major part in history, because Haiti being the first Black Republic, but Palestine also being the country that offered land to Israel at one point in time, where they didn't know that today they would be colonized by the own people that they welcome to their own land. So this is probably most of the resemblance of the two countries right now.
Yes.
I think we have time for one more question, and that question was for Dr. Narcisse or for Pacha. Can you give us an update on the status of the African countries, particularly Kenya, that have pledged that they want to send troops to Haiti.
Can you repeat the question for us, sir? We didn't hear it. Did you hear it?
I think it's about the multinational force in Kenya. The subject, but I didn't hear all the questions. So if you could just...
Yes, that's correct, about the multinational force.
Sir?
The question is your analysis of the ongoing and the new proposed multilateral force to come in with Kenyans to further invade and occupy. Just to give more of your analysis of that and how the people on the ground will react.
Like we said previously, the solution is first and foremost Asian, a multiple intervention, targeting various dimensions of the crisis, strengthen the Asian security forces, reinforce the justice system, and with the National Security Council being put in place, led by the Presidential Transitional Council and the Prime Minister, will be created responsible for developing a national security plan, ensuring its application and monitoring it. But the role of the National Security Council will be also to work to develop modalities of cooperation related to international security assistance, including the Kenyan multinational mission. Also, we think also that the active participation of the population will be key to achieve a social peace. Pacha, you want to add something?
I think you covered it very well, so it's a wrap.
So we want to thank it's a wrap. We want to thank Dr. Narcisse, we want to thank Pacha so much, we want to thank Haiti Action Committee, we want to thank Maryse, we want to thank Dr. Kased, we want to thank all of you who are here, Eastside Arts Alliance, and as they say in Mozambique, a luta continua, the struggle continues.